Hello, BookTube, and welcome back. So, I'm doing a couple of vids around a couple of books that I've just read, like an informal review rather than an actual critical book review. I'm not a critic, right? So, it's more my opinion of a book and a quick summary of what I've just read as well. So, this time round, I was in the mood for something like an expedition, kind of a brave book, accomplishment, humanity does something, kind of a book. And I don't think I've ever read anything on this subject before. And this is a non-fiction book, and it's a Man on the Moon: The Voyages of the Apollo Astronauts. This is by Andrew Chaikin. So this is looking at all the Apollo missions from Apollo 1 to Apollo 17. So we're looking at the 60s and early 70s of all these brave people who are, you know, going out there to go to the moon. This book is so well researched. It is absolutely. There's a lot of in-depth interviews here with astronauts, people who are working in mission control, scientists, engineers. There's a lot of people interviewed to go into this book. It's so amazingly detailed. It is pretty fantastic what he's managed to pull off here, and it's immensely readable too. So, as I said, it goes from Apollo 1, the tragedy of Apollo 1, to Apollo 8, who went round the moon, and obviously one of the main ones, Apollo 11, which we all know, shady Apollo 17, and then eventually, the last space moon mission, which is Apollo 17. And the authors managed to do an excellent job here, because when you think about it, it's 15 years worth of history, which it's a lot of science and engineering, and it can be, when you think it can be a kind of dry kind of subject area. This, very by the numbers kind of a story, but he's managed to turn that on its head and make this immensely readable. It's about 800, 900 pages, about 800 pages, whatever it is. I don't let that put you off, but I absolutely love this book, and it's broken down to each chapter is broken down to each of the space missions. I said the first one, the tragedy of the astronauts dying on Earth. They died within the shuttlecraft, didn't they? Asphyxiated, and it goes through the fierce rivalry, especially between Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong about who was actually gonna set foot upon the moon first. And it's amazingly done. This, it really is. And what it doesn't just talk about the Apollo missions just in and of itself, the engineering that's gone behind this, the kind of short biographies of each of the astronauts that was a part of the Apollo program, and some of the mission personnel as well, but also goes into the Apollo astronauts' family life as well, of the wives, being immensely worried, as you would, my husband's actually leaving the planet. So it talks about all that. It's a fascinating how he's pulled this off. And I'm trying to think of a negative around this book, and it's pretty hard, because you shouldn't really think, we need to think of a negative about this book, but it's not. It really, or maybe it's very patriotic, this book. It's meant to shine and highlight American exceptionalism, and for the Apollo missions, hats off to them. They deserve it. I wish I guess it wasn't really the point, but I guess it was a point, because the whole Apollo push was the whole American administration worrying about what the Soviets were doing at the time, because they were absolutely dominating space at the time. which drove the Americans to really push forward and go way out of way over the top to send somebody into the moon. So I wish the author covered that period a bit more and how the Soviets are really pushing on the Americans to do something incredible. That's not there, but don't let that. This book is still an immensely readable book. It is really, really great stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in the Apollo missions, if you're interested in space flight, I think we all should be interested in like space flight, even a smidge, even a tiny little amount, because maybe not going there ourselves because I'm not that brave. I'm staying clearly on Earth, and they talk about also Apollo 15. Apollo 15 was known for trying to cash in, the astronauts and all that, trying to gain money from, and that's not what NASA's all about. NASA is there, well, in my opinion, NASA's there for space exploration, and kind of making like the younger people really want to be an astronaut and do something amazing. That's what NASA is all about, pushing the boundaries of what we know in space, and then imparting that kind of love of the game to the younger generations for them to push forward. And I'll leave the private sector to do all the lame stuff of building moon bases and all that. Push, NASA, push. That's what it's all about. So it does reflect on that about Apollo 15. And this book is so good. If you're interested in a really, really in-depth, readable history of the Apollo missions, and more importantly, the actual astronauts who were involved in the Apollo missions, that you can't get this book a skip. It is immensely readable. And that is A Man on the Moon by Andrew Chaikin. And I will speak to you soon. Bye, BookTube.